Good afternoon. I'm Janella Precious with the Midday News. A special welcome if you're watching on onespotmedia.com. The head of the Jamaica Constabulary Force says there's been significant improvements in the use of intelligence to tackle the rise of crime and violence in the country. Speaking at a press conference earlier today, Commissioner of Police Major General Anthony Anderson also pointed to the use of forensics.
We also have an increased use of forensics, both cyber, DNA, ballistics, and fingerprints.
Now, recently, forensic evidence advisor with the U.S. Embassy in Kingston, Craig Dewar, he lamented the absence of a DNA database in the island. This despite the DNA Evidence Act being passed 3 years ago. Also addressing this morning's press conference, DCP Selwyn Hay noted that work is in progress to get the forensics database up to standard.
There's a lot of work that is being done on the forensics capability, improving our forensics capability in the JCF, and the use of fingerprints and mugshots and DNA are central to that improvement and that development. I note with concern the rhetoric and the dialogue in the media, but I just want to reassure the country that as a law enforcement entity, and some of us who have been at it for decades, crying out for some of these improvements, it is not lost on us the importance of these developments and enhanced capabilities. We know the benefits that we will derive from having these improved forensic capabilities, and we are working assiduously to ensure that these become a reality. Already we are seeing benefits of it. So whomever would make those comments, I think the comments are disingenuous. I know that they might have happened at the pace at which some of us would want it, but I can assure you, as I said before, that we are dealing with these issues and the development is underway.
Head of the National Integrity Action NIA, Professor Trevor Monroe, says he is encouraged by news that 13 more criminal gangs are set to face the court shortly after the ongoing Uchen's trial ends. Professor Monroe is therefore urging the prosecutors and investigators not to be intimidated by the high-profile defense attorneys these alleged gangsters are able to afford. He was speaking at a recent justice training program.
The investigators at CTOC are rising to new levels to confront this deepening crisis. You've heard of the statistics relating to the Home Circuit Court, but I wish to single out the first ever trial of an entire gang, the Uchen's Wilson gang, in which gang members themselves have come forward to give evidence. And I understand that no less than 13 other gangs are in line to stand in the dock and to face your prosecutorial skills.
Despite a state of public emergency being declared in western parishes, at least one councillor believes not enough security personnel are on the ground. According to councillor for the Granville Division in the St. James Municipal Corporation, Michael Troop, the security forces should do frequent patrols in highly volatile communities in order to minimize the fear among residents. He says there is inadequate security presence in the communities and this is giving comfort to criminals.
So when the 3 months up, I can feel satisfied that my entire area or division is completely sweep off, and people will know that there is a state of emergency. But right now, people are asking, where is the state of emergency?
Meanwhile, there's a view that more cohesion is needed to bring about social intervention in the parish of St. James. That's the charge by Mayor of Montego Bay, Homer Davis. TVJ's O'Shane Masters reports.
Another state of emergency in the parish of St. James to tackle the spiraling crime rate, but even as the measure is in place, there's a call for social intervention. Speaking at the St. James Municipal Corporation meeting on a Thursday, Mayor Homer Davis says though there have been efforts to provide a level of intervention in a number of communities, it is disjointed.
What seems to be happening, we are working in a very disjointed way. You will have the SDC doing something, you have PMI doing something, you have CSJP doing something, you have a community-based organization doing something. But if we look at all what is being done and channel the resources that are available, then we could probably get better results.
It's why the mayor is calling for a stakeholders meeting to have a coordinated approach to develop the best approach for the implementation of social intervention programs under the state of emergency. He noted that it is imperative that social interventions be done during the SOE.
During the period of the last SOE, there wasn't enough intervention.
Currently, only the Zone of Special Operations ZOSO has a social intervention aspect. O'Shane Masters, TVJ News.
Meanwhile, with the recent violent acts against the nation's children, the mayor of Montego Bay, Homer Davis, is also calling on parties to take a stand in the fight against child abuse. He's encouraging stakeholders to not only use Labor Day activities to focus on children. Mr. Davis says it should be all year round.
Some of them are treated very badly, even in the home that they are living. Some of them are treated even more badly when they go out in the public space. And I would suggest that as leaders, as councillors, if we see that happening, we must endeavor to put a stop to it, because it's a major problem that we are having.
His comments come days after an address by Prime Minister Andrew Holness at the launch of National Workers' Week and Labor Day activities.
Not tolerate this. We don't support this. And with our partner UNICEF here, I wish to give the full assurance that our security forces, our total law enforcement effort, will do everything in our powers to ensure that those who commit these heinous crimes are brought to justice.
The lack of water has forced the administration of the Norman Manley High School in St. Andrew to close its doors early. Principal Adair Powell-Brown says she has become frustrated over the shortage of water at the school. She adds that she has had to purchase water from a trucking company. However, it's not adequate to supply the entire school population. Mrs. Powell-Brown, however, noted that classes will resume on Monday, May 13. The Jamaica Civil Service Association, JCSA, has marked its 100th year in existence, and its president, O'Neill Grant, says as part of its centennial celebrations, it will be ramping up its membership drive. He was speaking at a service earlier this week to launch a commemorative garden and a JCSA limited edition stamp.
This is the opportunity for us to be evangelists for the cause, to invite those who are not aware to come on board, join the association, make this year a meaningful year in terms of growth in membership, so that we can truly say at the end of this year that the JCSA has gotten its true reward for being 100 years old. And that true reward is a continued expansion of the members of the JCSA and the services that we give to them.
Taxi operators have strongly opposed a new $10,000 fee for the non-renewal of road licenses. The Transport Authority announced yesterday that the fee will take effect prior to the June 3 start of the liberalization of the public transportation system. But President of the Jamaica Association of Transport Owners and Operators, Louis Barton, told our news center last night that his group is objecting to the move. He says some taxi operators will not be able to renew their road licenses on time due to financial constraints.
We understand that Transport Authority probably need money to have their function and all of that, but they are operating on our heads, and it becomes even worse because we have refused. They have refused to give us a fair increase, right? And the increase that they're asking for is from $2,000 to $10,000. It's a late fee. But some of us, and the majority of those who are late, they are late because they just cannot afford to pay the required fee on time.
In a news release yesterday, the Transport Authority said the $10,000 fee is in keeping with its regional licensing approval policy and procedure, which also takes effect on June 3. The new program is intended to significantly reduce the processing time for road license applications by decentralizing and automating the approval process. The University of the West Indies Hospital UHWI is boasting improvements in the service it offers women in the detection and treatment of breast cancer. The improvement comes with the donation of a state-of-the-art extracorporeal membrane oxygenator machine and picture archiving and minimally invasive neuroendoscopy machine from the Guardian Life 5K. The extracorporeal membrane oxygenator machine is the first of its kind in the English-speaking Caribbean, and it will help patients in critical conditions. Consultant surgeon at the UHWI, Dr. Joseph Bligen, further explains the importance of the machine.
And basically it's a machine that actually takes over the function of the heart and the lung. So when for discussion purposes you have a patient in the ICU and they have maximized the setting on the ventilator, and there's nowhere else to go, then this machine can actually take over the function and allow the heart to rest as well as the lung to rest until it's recovered.
In the meantime, Medical Chief of Staff and Neurosurgeon Dr. Carl Bruce gave an overview of the minimally invasive neuroendoscopy machine, which is used for keyhole brain and spine surgery.
And this will benefit not only pediatric patients who have conditions such as hydrocephalus with excess water in the head, where we need to relieve the obstruction in the system, but for those with brain tumors who we need to do a biopsy, or in many instances when we need to clear hemorrhage.
He added that patients from across the region will benefit.
We went ahead and used the neuroendoscopic minimally invasive system to intervene on the patient. Obviously, the patient recovered in far less time than would have been previously required when you had an open brain surgery, so to speak. And so we're very, very grateful that they have allowed us to immediately begin the use of the equipment to help the patients in the public sector.
Councillor for the Gregory Park Division in Portmore, St. Catherine, Joy Brown, has taken the Jamaica Public Service to task for what she deems a shortfall in its anti-theft software. At the latest Municipal Corporation meeting, Ms. Brown noted that streets have been without street lights for months now because of theft, and despite making contact with the JPS to restore the electricity, nothing has been done. She says she's concerned about the safety of residents.
All of them leak out by like 5 lights. But from 3 months now, I keep on calling for 2 Avenue, Queens Avenue and Walkers Avenue for the street light day. From the last day of February, some of the street lights are out. Keep on calling to get them back on with no success.
Is that the theft of electricity at the time causes 2 to 3 transformers to be damaged because of person using the street lights to carry out activities such as theft and overloading the circuit.
The power company promised to address the matter, as well as the issue of out-of-service smart LED lights and the delay in repairing them at a later date. And that's the news. I'm Janella Precious. Join us at 7 for Primetime News. On behalf of the entire team, good afternoon.